It is 28 degrees Celsius. I picked 17 kilos in 1.5 hours. The staff was impressed. I'm going home to take a swim. Made it back. Everything's unloaded. I'm all cleaned up. Kids are playing. And I am going to start getting into this. So, time to get all the stems off, wash them, and figure out what I'm making. There's so many things that I could make. Last year, I tried a bunch of new recipes and some old ones. I will definitely be repeating a lot of those. I will link them in the description box below. And I am definitely planning on trying some new things too. So let's get into it. One fun fact is I know that in the US, you hull the strawberries. Some people even have like a special tool to do it. We don't do that in Europe. And I also know that in the US, sometimes people will cut the entire top off. So you just slice it here and slice off the green part. People here see that as wasteful. So we don't do that either. We just kind of pinch them out like this. And I personally think it's much faster. And mostly, oopsies, you definitely get to preserve a larger portion of the strawberry. You don't need any special tools. Anybody can do it, and it's really fast. I actually don't even know why you would hull it because I never found the inside of the strawberries to be particularly tough or like they need to be cut out. So never really understood that part. And funny story, when I moved back from the US, I guess I was just used to doing it the American way, and my mom got some strawberries and I cut off all the tops with leaving all of these parts, leaving all of them out. And my mom was very upset with me and called me wasteful and felt the urge to show me again the proper way of removing strawberry stems. So here we go. Let's try to get through these as fast as possible so that I can start to make some things. I think I'm going to start with the easiest things first because the moment you pick your strawberries, and when they're real fresh strawberries, they start rotting almost right away. So I'm obviously going to refrigerate them, but I know that already by tomorrow, they are not going to be this nice. So I will freeze some for sure. That's probably going to be my first project. All right, my first bowl is almost full. My fingers are starting to ache a little bit. So I better brace myself because I'm not even to the bottom of my first basket. I love strawberry picking. I actually am considering just canceling our strawberry patch here on the farm. We have quite a big one, but A, so far strawberries have never been this nice. And B, my kids just always eat them before they can make it in the house. So maybe I should just leave it there for their entertainment, but our strawberry patch nearby is just so good. And, hour and a half of work total got me a huge harvest. That would never happen at home. I would have to invest so much more time. Gardens take a lot of time and energy. And this feels like such a sweet in between where I get beautiful organic strawberries that I can make all the goodness out of without having to take up bed space in my garden because that is limited. Ooh, this one's all dirty. All the rest of them have been shockingly clean. I don't even feel the need to wash them, honestly. And I'm always on the lookout for ways to make my life easier and things that I don't necessarily have to do and still get an amazing result. Very fortunate to have this strawberry patch nearby. The one downside of this method is that definitely your skin underneath your nail on your thumb starts aching after a while. So I've had to switch arms as I go, switch hands and fingers. But I'm almost there, about to take a break and start preserving. For my price evaluation, this was 17 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds off the top of my head, but I'll put it right down here on the screen. And I paid 1,300 crowns. Once again, I don't know what that is in dollars off the top of my head, but I'm going to put it down here on the screen so that you can see it. That, to me, at least locally, is a really great deal because the amount of things that I'm going to make out of this, and actually, spoiler alert, we still have our strawberry jam from last year and we have been eating it, but I also had a lot of strawberries and we did not manage to get all the way through it. So I have to use that up before we dig into some of this new stuff. That's just one of the many things. I also dehydrated strawberries, which I'll be doing this time too. And I actually also have some left from last year, but I thought of an amazing way to use those up. So stick around if you want to see that. I'm pretty proud of myself. It might be really basic to you, but I am very excited to add that item to my pantry. And all the baked goods, I'm gonna freeze so many of them. We actually only just used up our last bag of frozen strawberries, I would say a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And we've been putting it into smoothies and other things all winter long. The kids love it. It's great for baking. And I know exactly where my strawberries come from. And I know that I was the one to pick every single one of them. I know that they're organic. Whereas when you buy frozen strawberries at the store, you never know where they came from. You don't know what they're sprayed with or what they're treated with, well, A, while they're growing, but even B, for the freezing and preservation process. For example, I did not know this until very recently. Slightly different item, but grated cheese. I never realized that grated cheese was coated in anti-caking agent. I don't buy grated cheese very much, but sometimes I really succumbed to the convenience of it. And now I no longer do. And same with all other items that have been preserved in one way or another. I just don't really trust what's on there. And if there is a way for me to do it myself, and it's not too difficult and it's not too expensive, and it just makes sense, then I always do it. And frozen strawberries are one of those things. Ta-da! Made it to the end of my first basket. Little steps. All right, let's get to freezing. This is the easiest thing ever. And you just get frozen strawberries all year long. There's really no trick to it. I'm just going to fill them all, put them all in the bag, and that's it. They freeze beautifully. Because they're so fresh and intact, they don't stick together at all. And my favorite part is that you can just take a small portion out and you don't have to thaw the whole bag. Whereas with other berries, very often, because of all the juices, they all kind of end up freezing together into a big clump. And you end up having to take out the whole bag just to break it apart. Whereas strawberries freeze really, really, really well. All right. Look at this mega bag. Let me wash my hands. Ready to go in the freezer. Well, that used up most of my bowl, but it's okay. For these, I'm going to quarter these and put them in those little bags. Those are great for baking or anytime that you don't want a whole frozen strawberry. Then I really appreciate having them quartered and doing some of the work up front. Let's do it. Second bag, ready for the freezer. I will add to this as I need to, depending on how many I have left, but I really feel like we need to move on to some other recipes. So continuing with the easiest things first, now that we're done with some of our freezer stuff, let's move on to popsicles. I love making this recipe. It is so easy. It's done in just a minute and the kids absolutely love it, and it's so much easier to make than actual ice cream. So all you need is 2 cups of strawberries, which, haha, I have so many more over here. And if you wanted to make this into a sorbet kind of thing, make it really simple, you could just blend and that could be it. I like to add a little bit of protein to mine. I will not blend all the way because I actually want little tiny pieces of strawberries left in there for a little bit of extra texture. The only thing you need are these ice cream molds. I guess you don't need them. I have made this in plastic cups with a little wood stick before, but these make it so easy. Continuing on with the blender, I'm now going to make an absolute hit from last year, strawberry fruit roll-ups. They are delicious, so easy to make, and only 3 ingredients. Those were such a treat for my kids last year. My kids don't really get to eat a lot of candy, We don't really buy it that. So when I made this, it really tastes like great candy, and it's kind of sour, which I absolutely love. So I'm definitely making these again. I'm gonna link the recipe for this one in the description box down below. And last on the agenda before I have to go make dinner, and then I'll continue again, is I'm gonna make the kids some raw milk strawberry ice cream. It's hot outside, they'll love it as a treat. And if I start it now in my KitchenAid ice cream maker bowl, it'll be ready just when we're done eating dinner. I still have some raw milk from my cow, but I don't know that I have a raw cream. Maybe a little bit. We'll see if that's enough in this jar, otherwise I'll just use what I have store-bought. Our chickens have been laying terribly lately, so I am actually using store-bought eggs. It's always best to use your own fresh eggs. These are from a good source, but I always prefer to use our own. But in this heat, our chickens just decided that they're not doing it. I absolutely had to stretch this to another day. There was no way for me to finish all of it in one day, which is completely fine. It was a lot of strawberries, but the kids just left. I've got the house. I've got my strawberries, and I have a lot of other things I need to make today, so let's get right to it. So what I did is I saved my strawberry tops, and as you can tell, somewhere throughout my strawberry processing process, my nails got so tired. There was absolutely no way that I could continue using my super efficient European method that I was so adamant about, which I still think that it is the best way. But if you are processing pounds and pounds of strawberries like me, I do completely understand that your fingernails get tired, and I don't think that my mom ever did that. So here we are. One of my kids bit into that. I saved the strawberry tops because there are actually a lot of fun things that you can do with them. For example, you can make strawberry vinegar, and most recipes that I've seen, they just mix vinegar with strawberries, and usually it's a pretty low quality vinegar, and I was not impressed by that. That is not my style at all. I like everything, or almost everything, or as many things as possible that I make to be probiotic and fermented and natural. And vinegar is one of those things. I make my own apple cider vinegar. I'm gonna link the recipe to that in the description box below because it is so simple. It just takes time for it to ferment, but it's not active work time. You just let it sit. And so I was thinking, why can't I use the same system to make some strawberry vinegar? And I am going to use these strawberry tops for exactly that purpose. I put my strawberries in the fridge, and you can see that they've already started deteriorating quite a lot. Luckily, it doesn't matter as much. There was just no way I could have gotten to all of it in one day. But I am now going to move on to baking and preserves that actually, it's not the end of the world if the strawberries are not as fresh as they were yesterday. All right, that is done. Let's get to the fun part, which is baking. Obviously, baking. I love to bake, all things sourdough. In case you don't know, I have a sourdough blog. I'm going to link it in the description box below. And I love making scones, or scones, depends where you're from. And I do not have my strawberry scone recipe up on the blog yet. So Today I will make those scones so that I can add them on there and so that we can feast on some strawberry deliciousness. If you would like any of my other sourdough scone recipes, I'm going to include a link below. The trick to them not bleeding all into your scones or whatever else you're baking is to flash freeze them. There's some other things you can do, like sprinkle them in sugar or in flour, but in my experience, this works really great. Into the freezer for about 15 minutes. Unfortunately, my freezer is not in my house. I only have a big fridge here that is hopefully going to be different in the new house. It does look like we are going to be moving out and doing some big works on this beautiful little house behind me. And one of the things I'm looking forward to is a brand new kitchen and a big fridge with a freezer, so I don't have to schlep outside every single time I need to go to the freezer. And back out to the freezer for my frozen butter. This is another key to having delicious scones that actually rise is your butter needs to be so-called preferably frozen. Okay, here are my strawberries. They are looking great and nice and so much drier, but I'm still gonna pat them dry. We're on day 3. Actually, it's not day 3. I had to take a few days in between because we had company and other things were going on. Life on the homestead, always busy, but I'm down to my last 2 baskets and I'm super curious to see how splintered. These withheld in the fridge for such a long time and see what I can make. Since I'm now finally moving on to the jams, it actually doesn't matter if they're a little bit mushy. It actually makes the jam go a little bit faster. Now, there are many different ways of making strawberry jam and strawberry preserve. And I know that the US is like the canning capital of the world, I feel like, especially now. But I will say, I am going to make the strawberry jam the way my family, made it growing up. And like I said before, I am a first-generation homesteader. My family did not homestead or farm in any way. We did not have animals. If you want to know more about that story, I'm going to link a video where I talk about it a lot more up in the corner or down below, probably up in the corner. But we did do a lot of these homesteading practices, just things that we did in the home that a lot of European families do, whether they have land or not, whether they're crunchy or not. It's just part of the culture. And making strawberry jam is one of those things. My dad always absolutely loved strawberry jam. And so we made it this way every single year. It never went bad. I myself did it last year and the year before that. And it is so simple, yet delicious. And I love it. So maybe I'm gonna be called a canning heretic. Very possible, but this is truly time tested. So let's get it going. Strawberries are actually not looking that shabby at all. Some of them are a little mushy. Some of them got eaten by my kids, but the rest looks pretty good. So let's get going. Done. Waiting for my jam to come to a boil. I'm gonna boil it for about a minute as per the instructions on this, and I wanted to go through what this is. The ingredients are really simple. This is just pectin, citric acid, and a conservative of some sort, which is not ideal, I suppose. I would have to look into this a little bit more. There's so many things to get repelled on, so many things to do better. I discovered this majorly with cheese making. That is one of the newer skills that I recently learned, which is now on pause because my cow's almost done with her milk season. But there is a way of doing it that uses a lot of supplies, a lot of chemicals really, or there's a more natural way of doing it where you make your own clabber and use your own cultures and it's more natural. But I feel like it's so overwhelming when you're starting a new skill to always try to do it the best from the get-go. And I think the more important part is to just start. And then once you've kind of got going a little bit, there's so much more room and mental space even to build on that and to make it better. So I just follow what my mom did and what my grandma did. But I'm sure that there are better ways of doing it. If you have better mix to add to your jam, I would love to know. Let me know in the comments below. Now we're gonna let it boil for about 5 minutes. And obviously stirring very often so that we don't burn it on the bottom. I am going to start doing some things with these strawberry tops. This is my first time doing anything with them. Look how many I've got. Last year and the year before, I just discarded them. But this year, I thought, well, A, it's kind of a waste. I've got so many. And B, I happened upon some really cool ideas when I was browsing on Pinterest. By the way, Pinterest is still such a great platform to use for inspiration for things when you don't quite know what you're looking for, but you know you're looking for something. It very often helps you find it. And so that got me started thinking what I could use these tops for. And so some of them I am going to dehydrate and use as greens powder for our smoothies. We drink a lot of smoothies. We have a smoothie with the boys almost daily. And I'm always looking for greens to add. And this will be so great for the winter time when there are not that many greens for us to use. And we still feel like drinking a smoothie. So I'm just curious how this is gonna go. I have not tried this yet, but I'm pretty confident that the dehydrator will do a good job. In they go. Okay, next we are going to make some vinegar. I'm gonna make 2 different types of vinegar. I'm going to make some strawberry infused apple cider vinegar. This is really easy. And I'm gonna try something new. I make my own apple cider vinegar. This is homemade. It's so easy also. If you would like the recipe, I'm gonna link it down below. I am also going to try to make my own strawberry vinegar, like from the start, not just infusing already made vinegar, but actually making vinegar. I've never tried this. I think it's going to work, but we'll see. Like always, let's start with the easy one. I've got this super cute little bottle here, which is going to be my strawberry infused apple cider vinegar. Okay, that should probably do it. Maybe a few more. Perfect. And I will simply fill it up. Smells amazing. Good. All right. Close. Let it sit for a few days and you will have delicious strawberry vinegar, great for dressings and other things. Now for the actual vinegar, I saved some cultures that grew on my apple cider vinegar. It looks extremely like a kombucha SCOBY, even though it's not. It grew completely on its own, so I divided it in half, put 1/2 into my jar that's making new apple cider vinegar and kept the other in the fridge. I've had it in the fridge forever though, so I really hope that it's not completely dead. It smells good. And I'm also going to add a little bit of my current apple cider vinegar just to help it get going. I know that strawberries have less sugar than apples, so I am going to have to add some sugar, and it's a big experiment. Let's see what happens. I'm going to run and get my jam jars that I don't keep in the house because there's just no space. I end up having so many jars and nowhere to put them. This is our cold storage room. More like storage, but it also happens to be cooler. My vision for here is for these shelves to be a little different and for this whole space to be filled with canned goods, jams, preserved, canned vegetables, all that good stuff. Probably a couple more freezers. We have 2 freezers at the back and some antique radios that my dad collected. He was a big collector. We have to go through all these and some records and things, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to find jam jars. We're gonna have a whole big chat about jars. In Europe, we typically use just normal screw jars, although I love the American pop lip jars. I think they're so much better, and I actually recently saw that they are finally coming to the European market. So in the long term, I would love to switch to those, but for now I'm using these. Now here's the catch. Every year, I always used to buy new lids, and then I found out that local people just don't do that. This is a detail that I did not remember from my childhood days. And so this year, for the first year, I'm trying used lids. This is all gone through the dishwasher, but I'm going to rinse it again in hot water, and we will see if it gets moldy or not. But apparently that is what the locals do. Okay, our jam is done. I am going to just skim off a little bit of this foam if I can get it. Now here is where, in my opinion, the European method differs so much from the American. I will not water bath pan this or anything else. I will just, while it's piping hot, turn it upside down. And this is how we do it. And it makes the jars seal. Okay, now I'm going to put in the culture. And just in case it needs a little bit of a boost, a little bit of my ACV. Top it off. Here is our strawberry vinegar. We are finally to the end of my strawberry harvest. Wow, that was something. I've still got a few that I can use for something else that I'll have to figure out. I did also do a bunch of baking, and I'm gonna leave the recipes for strawberry sourdough scones and strawberry sourdough quick bread and strawberry sourdough bread all below in case you'd like to try any of those. But before we go, I know I promised you one last thing, which is a super surprising way of using strawberries that maybe you didn't think of. So let's wrap up with that. So last year I dehydrated a bunch of strawberries. I've got them here. I'm so proud to say that they smell amazing, they're intact, they're not moldy, they're great. I am probably going to dehydrate, it tastes amazing. Probably going to dehydrate some more because I love adding this to homemade granola. But what do I do with the ones from last year? I had a great idea. And here you have it, your own, very own pink powder that you can use in cereal and granola, in your baking to make your baked goods a little bit more pink, and even to make strawberry popcorn, which is something I will also be doing. I do not have time to include it in this video, but if you would like to see that, let me know in the comments below, and I'm gonna leave a recipe. All right, guys,